Hey everybody, it is Molly K again. I am catching up on my videos because I haven't been doing them frequently for the last 2 weeks. I've been off because I've been working, and so I apologize for being a slacker, but mama got to eat, and I like to eat, and I have stuff that I have to do because I need to prep for whatever's coming. So I need money. That requires money. This is a labor of love, so I am doing this for you all, but I also um, gotta work. So it is what it is. But I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be getting back on my grind. And I had a lot of things that I wanted to talk to you all about. So I had to do 2 videos today. So I did one. One was my first and only commentary on Will Smith. I'm not going to keep talking about Will Smith. It to me is not important, but because Black people are so entrenched in it and feel like they need to give an opinion, I just kind of gave my thoughts to try to set a different tone and get us to look at some of the other factors that are not necessarily being looked at. I also talked about Papa's son and the laptop scandal that is happening that people are not really talking about. So, if you haven't had a chance to look at the other video, please do. And also, before I go on to the subject for today, I just want to make sure I get you to like the video if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and share the page. Also, I want you to know that I'm going to be moving or doing more of my videos on Rumble. Because YouTube suppresses Black creators so much that I have to use other platforms because some of the topics that I talk about are really heavy and contrary to what the mass media wants everybody to know, in particular Black people. So I'm going to put a link in the description for you to go to my Rumble channel and subscribe. I'm also going to be posting more on 60s.net instead of Twitter. By June, I'm going to try to navigate away from using that platform altogether, or all the white-owned platforms, and try to do more Black empowerment on Black platforms, because I feel like you can't be talking about Black empowerment and um, doing it on white platforms. It's counterproductive to me. Just like we need to have important conversations, but we can't have those conversations because the white person sets the algorithms to whatever it is that they want to set those algorithms to, and then our messages and conversations are monitored. Our messages are suppressed or taken out of context or share in a way that is not necessarily productive or distracting. So I just want to be able to have conversations with Black people about Black people, for Black people, help Black people, um, who are codified or who are on Powernomics, who, are just really about countering white supremacy. And we can't keep saying that we're countering white supremacy if we keep using white supremacy's tools, because we allow them to use those tools against us. And so I'm, in an effort to try to do more empowerment while communicating with Black people who are interested in um, self-determination, then it is just imperative that we move away from these platforms. And, I can't get that into the minds of Black people. And also, you know, yeah, I get more looks on other platforms, but there's going to come a time where Black people are not going to be able to trust these platforms. And so you're going to have to start doing things differently. So I want to navigate away from that, and I hope you all will follow me. If you don't, I don't really know what to say. Good luck. But you're really going to have to start going outside of mainstream social media news platforms to get information, because everything is everybody's saying the same thing. And I'll give you an example of that. So I'm going to get on into what I want to talk about today, and that's basically about things that are coming down the pipe that they're not talking about here in America. And in particular, food rationing and how this war has reshaped how countries are thinking about food production and food exports and food imports. So one of the things that's happening, I don't know if you've been really paying attention to these things, that in Europe and Latin America, in China and other places, the nations are starting to understand that with this war, um, things that they used to be able to get from Ukraine and Russia, they're not going to be able to get from them anymore. And other countries are starting to look inward, and they are, rationing and stopping the exportation of their goods so that they'll have them for their people. Which means if another country was relying on those goods from those countries, they either have to find a new way to get those things, or that country will go without. And a lot of times, we as Black people, we just go to the grocery store and pick up stuff. We don't know where our stuff is coming from. I ate a banana today. My banana was from Guatemala. I got a plum here. This plum is from Chile. Um, we don't know where anything is sourced from. We eat products with flour in them. We don't know where the wheat from the flour comes from. We just go to the grocery store and just assume that everything is going to be there when you want it. You don't know, beef, fish. I live in Florida where we should have fresh fish all the time, but I go to grocery stores and we have fish from Argentina. A lot of the um, Latin and Asian grocery stores here, they have food from China and Indonesia, Thailand, where they have farm raised stuff. I don't eat that, but I'm just saying, I look at where my food comes from and I try to eat wild caught, not sustainable stuff, because sustainable just means you don't know what the food was eaten before it got to your table, to me. So, uh, I've just been paying attention to that, and so I'm gonna show you a couple of stories, and then I'm gonna tell you why those things are important for us. So let me share my screen. Second. Okay, so the first story I'm going to share with you is from Yahoo Finance. It's on Yahoo Finance, but it's a story that was pulled from Fortune magazine. Those the money people. So if you don't read these magazines, you're not going to get this information. But I'm going to just show you a couple of examples of things that are being discussed that's not being talked about on mainstream media. It's not being talked about on social media, casually, but I haven't really seen it. And so I've been paying attention to this for the last couple of weeks, but it's like really been loud and vocal for like the last 2 weeks about the rationing and global food supply crunch. So here in this story that's in Fortune, it was written yesterday. The title of the story is Gas in Germany, Flour in Greece, Sunflower Oil in Spain. European countries take steps towards rationing as the war in Ukraine adds to the global supply crunch. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has threatened the supply of critical commodities in Europe and thrown global supply chains, which were already struggling amid COVID-19, into complete chaos. As a result, the prices of everything from wheat to oil have soared, leading to multi-decade high inflation rates in places like Germany and Spain. The supply crunch in Europe is now so bad it's causing governments to begin laying the groundwork for rationing, with some stores already limiting supplies. The German government took the first formal steps towards rationing its natural gas supplies this week as it attempts to wean itself off of decades-long reliance on Russian energy. And in Spain and Greece, supermarkets are rationing food, including flour, milk, and sunflower oil. While current European rationing has been largely preventative, as governments and businesses hope to limit the risk of panic buying and further shortages, Europeans are facing a volatile environment ahead as geopolitical tensions persist and COVID-19 lockdowns continue abroad. So I want to, just talk about the fact that, these things are happening. First, let me just say, we cannot live without air, water, food, and medication if we need it, if we're ill. So these things are important because you cannot live without food. You cannot live without water. You cannot live without clean air. We're going to have air regardless unless they have figured out a way to fuck that up. But we're going to have food and we're going to have water issues. And as you can see, they overseas they are planning and already talking about rationing. I don't know if you're like me, you already think that this stuff has been planned out. This is just a way for us to go into whatever it is that they need to get us into so they can transition into this whatever this world order is going to be. And we're at the mercy of the people in power. So as this war continues and it's not, you know, going away, it's going to amp up. People are going to begin to panic buy. Stores are going to be able to ration. And so while we don't have any rationing or any issues now, if you are or haven't been prepping, you need to prep because we have a global supply chain. Our food comes from everywhere. You don't know who makes your favorite cookies. You don't know where your beans come from. You don't know who makes your bread, where the flour comes from for that bread, even fertilizer. So we're going to talk about fertilizer and why that's important. But here in Greece, they say 4 Greek supermarket chains have also started rationing critical food products, including flour and sunflower oil, after uh, the war in Ukraine caused a supply crunch in the nation. However, like in Germany, current rationing is only a preventative measure at this time. And they say that because at this time means now we're going to ration, but the day is coming when you probably not going to be able to have access because P Daddy is not playing with us. And C Daddy, Chi Daddy is not playing with us either. They are serious about this um, world order realignment and getting the West out of the way. And so, I expect that things are going to get worse for Western countries. We're a Western country, we're a white nation. Um, so West means white, basically. If you're in Canada, if you're in Europe, if you're in America, you're in trouble because these things are going to impact us because these are America's allies. And so as the allies struggle, expect us to struggle too. So, that's why that is important. So the next story I want to talk about was not this one. Germany. Germany prepares to, and this story was also yesterday on Forbes magazine. So it says Germany prepares for possible gas rationing as Russia demands payment in rubles. So, oh, hold on. Okay, so this story says Germany's government on Wednesday activated the first phase of an emergency law to prepare the country for possible gas rationing, a signal that is bracing for possible shortages as Western nations, white nations push back against sanctions hit Russia's demand for gas and other export payments in rubles. And that's Russian currency, if you're not aware. So everything is basically traded now in dollars. People do business in dollars because America and the West just run everything. But now, countries that are not on board with the world order as it is or increasing it are pushing back. And so now you have these trade partners that are in wars. Well, they're in war, but it's going to impact us, the little people. And so this is why this stuff is important. Um, so here, I'm going to talk about the statement noted that Germany joined other G7 nations in rejecting Russian demands last week to pay for gas imports in rubles, adding that this was a breach of private sector supply contracts. In a sign of possible escalation on the issue, the Speaker of the Russian Duma, I don't know how to say this, Vyacheslav Volodin, Volodin, in a Telegram post on Wednesday. Excuse me for butchering that. I'm sorry, I don't speak Russian. Um, so, in a Telegram post on Wednesday, warned European leaders that if you want gas, find rubles. Volodin added that Russia may widen its ruble payout demands for EU nations to include other exports like fertilizer. And fertilizer is used to grow food by big producers. So if they refuse, then that means those countries will either have to get fertilizer from other places or they won't have fertilizer at all, which is going to impact anything that grows with people who trade with Russia and need that fertilizer. Same applies for grain, food, oil, um, coal, metals, timber, and other things. Security of supply continues to be ensured. There are no supply bottlenecks at present. Nevertheless, we need to step up our preventative measures in order to be ready to cope with any escalation by Russia, German Economics Minister Robert Habeck said. So, as you can see again, the European nations are preparing for issues with Russia, and we are not doing nothing. You don't even hear America really talking about, um, anything that's relevant to preparing for rationing and other things. I know Biden did say a couple of weeks ago that we would have issues with food, but they didn't really go into any detail. But that perked my ears up because that was the first disclosure or admission that there are going to be supply chain issues. And so, if you got children, if you have, older loved ones, people who, don't grow their own food and don't supply themselves with food, you don't have your own local food supply, this is going to be problematic. And so, it's early, but as these wars and this tension escalates again, some people may say it's not a big deal, they don't believe it or whatever, but we don't have any control over anything. We're at the mercy of people who don't give a shit about nothing. Like, we just are led by psychopaths. So when you talk about, food, we need food to survive. We need water to survive. If people can't get fertilizer, they can't grow food. If they can't grow food, then you can't go to the grocery store and buy nothing. That means you're going to starve if you're not buying your own food. So it's problematic. So here in Hoosier Ag Today, which is a Indiana agricultural news paper, they talk about, and this is American media outlet. It says Russian ministry recommends halting fertilizer exports. Now this was in March, early March, March 6th. So here it talks about Russia's Ministry on Trade and Industry is recommending the country's fertilizer producers temporarily halt exports. Reuters says it's a sign that sanctions imposed after Russia invaded Ukraine might impact other countries. Many major international shipping companies suspended virtually all cargo shipments to and from Russia to comply with sanctions. The Russian ministry says we have recommended Russian producers temporarily suspend export shipments of fertilizer until carriers resume their work and provide guarantees that Russian fertilizer exports will get fully completed. Russia produces 50 million tons of fertilizers every year, which is 13% of the world's total. The country is a major exporter of potash, phosphate, nitrogen containing fertilizers, all of which are major crop and soil nutrients. Also, these things are used in weapons, bombs, so don't be fooled. Fertilizer is used for more than growing food, so it's a huge issue, and people are concerned. Um, Vessels are not coming here. A Russian source in the Russian fertilizer industry told Reuters, and there are no containers at all. Russia has been considering retaliating against Western sanctions, but hasn't officially announced any steps so far. So this was earlier this month. But as you can see, things have escalated now Russia is demanding their payments in rubles. And so now other countries are having to, in order to not um, violate the sanctions that are in place, they're having to do workarounds. And it's not as easy as they thought. So again, these people are doing these things, and it's going to impact us, the little person. And so you see how much fertilizer Russia contributes and who uses it. Um, so you just have to prepare. Um, the next story I wanted to go over is the one about Argentina, because a lot of nations have halted their exports in order to protect their own people, and make sure that their country is able to feed their people regardless of what happens. So Argentina is one of these countries in Latin America who is kind of like, I ain't getting into this stuff, but we got to protect our people too. And this story was dated March the 14th, 2022, and it was on Reuters, which is okay, but it's a story. It's a start. So you take this and you go do your own research. And I'll put the links to everything that I posted in the description. So here on March 14th, it says Argentina has halted registration of export sales of soy, oil, and meal. The South American country's government said in a statement, drawing swift condemnation from the industry in the world's top exporter of processed soy products. The move stopped sales and exports of the 2021-2022 crop, but the physical shipments have not started because no harvesting has taken place. The decision by Argentina, the top global exporter of both soybean meal and oil, will likely roil the world soy market, which has seen prices spike on Russia's invasion of Ukraine. U.S. soy meal futures price jumped more than 2.2% in the wake of the announcement, while soy oil futures eased at 1.26%. Um, the country is forecast to account for 41% of the global soy meal exports and 48% of world soy oil exports in 2021-2022 crop year, which is really important because soy is in everything. And so if these people are not exporting, then what happens? Um, So, oh, and here's another thing I wanted to point out. Um, Buyers have no choice but to reduce consumption or go to alternative sources for supplies, said Singapore-based trader. We expect higher demand for U.S. meal. In Southeast Asia, buyers such as Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand were heavily reliant on Argentine meal. So, as you can see, with this global economy, people have started relying on things that come from other places, and people don't realize where their food comes from until something like this happens. So because we don't produce, we have this global economy where, oh, Russia produces flour, I'm going to go to Russia and buy my flour, and we're not going to grow as much flour. Well, now that's going to hurt us, because you just can't say, oh, I'm going to just grow wheat and have flour for myself. It takes a long time to grow stuff. So in between the shift, things will happen. But I'm of the mindset that this is all intentional. Some people are gonna starve to death because they're not ready to deal with um, growing their own food. Maybe they're not in a position. People will lose their jobs. Like, a lot of things are going to happen as these nations crumble, as this new world order happens, and we have all these different collapses. If America collapses, or if one of these other big nations collapse, the whole thing is going to collapse, and then there's going to be a restructuring. During this time, people are still going to be living. You're not going to stop living. You're not going to stop needing food. You're not going to stop needing water. You're not going to stop needing whatever it is that you need. And so you're going to have to learn how to shift and eat different things. You're going to have to be able to eat what you can get. And that's if you can get anything at all. But why the wheat and um, barley is important is because a lot of bread is in alcohol, is made with alcohol, particularly with barley. But people make bread with wheat and barley, crackers, different things like that. And those are things that people pass out when times are hard. You ever heard of bread lines during the Depression, then during the Great Depression? And so when these things are not available, what are people going to do? Because nobody's not going to give you fish. They're not going to give you the best. They're going to give you the bare minimum. That's something that you can use to feed people cheap and keep people from starving to death. Well, if this is an issue now, what are you going to do? So when you see this, you should be preparing. You should be stocking dry goods, non-perishables up to the roof. You should be preparing for whatever is happening, because other countries are preparing for rationing. You may go to the store, you may have a lot of people in your household, you may have a big family, but if you can't buy but two things, that's not enough for you to feed your family. And so you're going to have to go to multiple stores. You may not have enough food. So you need to be figuring out in your mind how you're going to navigate rationing. What are you going to do if you can't get the things that you like or you need, because those things come from countries that are not playing nice right now, or just because of supply chain issues, global supply chain issues? So, I really want us to prep. Like, I cannot stress it enough. Things are happening in the world. They're not happening here in America right now, but we are going to feel this because our government thrives on hiding stuff from us and not telling us the truth. When you figure out what the truth is, it is going to be too late. It's going to be just like the jab. And, you get the hokey, and the hokey, you know, after 2 years, now we figure out, oh, the hokey is going to kill us because it's got all this other stuff and it wasn't good. You don't have but a few weeks to not be able to have food. It's going to be chaotic. People are going to be cutting up. People are going to be robbing people who have stuff. Like, you need to beef up your personal home protection, and you need to have food in your home for whatever is happening. And so, I'm coming to you today, like I've been doing for the last couple of years, telling you, hey, you need to prep. You should have plenty of food in your house now, because I've been saying this for a couple of years. If you haven't been following me long, at least for the last, 5 years, I know I have been talking about prepping. So, I just want to remind you that, whatever you can get in your house to put in your mouth to keep your family from starving, you need to have it in there. The last thing, oh my God, what happened to my story? Okay, sorry. The last story that I have is about Russia's draft, which is interesting. This came out today, this morning at 6:18 a.m. Russia drafts 134,500 conscripts, but says they won't go to Ukraine. So um, here it says President Vladimir Putin on Thursday signed a decree ordering 134,500 new conscripts into the army as part of Russia's annual spring draft, but the defense ministry said the call had nothing to do with the war in Ukraine. So, as you can see, um, Russia is preparing for war. They lost people in Ukraine, and they are also preparing because America and other nations have put troops in Europe. And Putin said any act of aggression, any boots on the ground, anything is an indication of war. So here in America, they're not really talking about it in that respect, but it's war. And so we can sit around and think, oh, we concerned about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. That's the least of your fucking worries. Trust me, that is the least of your worries. If you cannot eat, you can't feed your family, you can't provide, backup resources if power goes out, if internet goes out, um, if you don't have clean drinking water, if anything happens, you need to be spending time figuring that type of stuff out. This other nonsense is just distractions to keep you not occupied on things that are going to save your life. So here, I wanted to talk about this a little bit because um, it's a sign that war is escalating. And in America here, we just casually been giving money to Ukraine and to the UN because we all in now. We love to fight, love tear shit. And those 100,000 troops that are staged in Germany are going to match what Putin has here. So there's a fight going to happen somewhere. There are some things that are going to happen we're not going to know about, and they're going to impact our everyday lives eventually because as these leaders start doing whatever they're doing, I don't have a dog in the fight except for I live in America and I have to be worried about black people, my family, people I care about. Um, how those things are going to impact us. And people starve and die because they don't plan. They don't believe something bad is going to happen. They don't think the rainy day is ever coming. Or they believe that because um, nothing has happened today, that nothing is going to happen. Like, I can't tell you, oh, November the 3rd, the sky is going to fall. I can't tell you that. I don't have that power. What I can tell you is that the things that are happening are going to lead to something disastrous for regular folks and poor folks and people who rely on other people for their sustenance. If you go to a job, you rely on somebody to pay you for your work. But if they decide they don't need you anymore, you don't have a job, you can't spend money to buy the things that you need. Your food. If you go to a grocery store and that grocery store doesn't have food, you go to several grocery stores in your area. If you live in a place that is poor, they're going to feed you last because they don't care about poor people. The rich people get their stuff first. My daddy, who's a truck driver, taught me that. During the pandemic, grocery stores like Publix and some of these other chains in the South who had, paper towel shortages. Paper towels and toilet paper went to those stores first. They didn't go to Family Dollar. They didn't go to the Dollar General. They didn't go to Dollar Tree. They went to places and people who had money. They went to Walgreens and Walmarts in upper middle class and wealthy communities first. So if you're not concerned about getting food now while you can access it, it's going to be a problem later, and it'll be too late to be concerned. So, um, everything is connected globally. So you have to think that one day it is going to reach you. It hasn't reached you yet, but it's going to reach you. So you know, that is basically, the gist of what I had to talk to you about today. I want you to understand that we are entering into a different territory where people are not really being sincere about what's happening, and we have to be on our P's and Q's. So if you have not prepped, you should be buying everything that is not tied down that you can. Any extra money should not be going to anything except for food and preparation, emergency preparedness. Because again, we're at the mercy of rich people, and they're not they have an agenda, they have a plan, and their plans are not our plans. The illusion of choice is an illusion. We don't really have a choice. We just have to kind of navigate what the cards that are dealt to us. So, you know understand, countries are rationing, they're planning for war, and we're not talking about it. We are in like nothing is happening. We're planning summer vacations and stuff. It might not be a summer vacation. Europe is planning for war, and people are planning to go to Europe for the summer in America because we are so crazy. It's the best way I can say it. So, um, prep, people. Prep, 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 prep. Figure out how you are going to survive with less. Practice eating less. Practice fasting. Practice getting back to the basics. Stock your house with as many dry goods and canned goods as possible. Get extra things for people, your neighbors. Throw seeds, buy seeds, throw those things outside and let them start growing, because growing food is hard. Let me tell you, I've been practicing for 2 years. It is really hard. It's not easy. You have to deal with animals eating your stuff and fungus and bugs, and so if you don't have time to maintain it, it's also a challenge. But you should have time to maintain it because food is survival. You cannot survive without food. You cannot survive without water. You cannot survive without air. You cannot survive without medication if you require medication. Some medications we don't need. You could probably treat yourself with food, but that's a whole different thing for another day. But get your house in order. Prep. Should be having home defense, because when things get bad, people are going to be running around, breaking into people's houses and stealing people's stuff who didn't prepare. You should have your stuff in your house, have it hidden, have it secure, so that when things get bad, you can stay in your house and you don't have to go out. You should have your backyard fixed up and ready. You should have your seeds so that you don't have to order seeds, because there will not be any seeds to get. You should have everything that you need for whatever hits, and you should be prepared to live without any assistance from the government or whatever when it comes to food and water for at least 14 months. And I say 14 months, 2 years, but you go back to the Great Depression, you saw how long that thing lasted. For years, people were starving, people died, people didn't have nothing, people were waiting on the government for bread. Like, and that was when we didn't have a global society and we weren't exporting and importing food from each other from across the world. So make sure that you are prepared for whatever is coming down the pipe, because there will not be any opportunities once the rich people figure out things are coming down the pipe. The people who have money are going to go to the store and buy up all the stuff. When you get paid, there won't be nothing in the store for you to buy, and there won't be any supplies coming, because the supply chain is already stressed. Um, then you deal with the trucking issues. Truck drivers are tired and they're quitting. Companies are not willing to pay people for what they're worth. A lot of times, a lot of this stuff is just about greed. And so you're not being greedy and preparing and trying to counter some of the hard times that are coming, but you need to be preparing for hard times because they are coming and other countries are preparing. So once they close their gates and close the borders to their countries and stop exporting, that means, you may not have fish, you may not have bananas, you may not have plums. If things are coming from out of the area or out of the country that you like or you consume, those things aren't coming. What are you going to do? How are you going to supplement or switch up? And most people don't really have a plan. People don't even think about where their food comes from. Start sourcing your food. When you go to the store, pick stuff up and look at it. When you go through the produce section, look at that stuff. Your meat, it may come from Argentina. Your fish may come from Indonesia. Your bananas may come from Guatemala. Your plums may come from Chile. Your apples may come from someplace else that is not American. And so as these countries close their borders, their people are going to eat what they eat. What do we have? Do you know what's in your community? Do you know where your food comes from? It's time to start figuring that out. We cannot live without food. We cannot live without water. We cannot live without good, clean air. And we cannot live without our medication. Those things are essential and you need home protection. So I'm going to say it again and I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to keep preaching it. Pay attention to what they are not telling you because other countries are preparing. They've been preparing their people for a long time. And I told you in November, China advised their people to prepare for food to be without for 1 year. So if they prepared for a year and they knew back in November, January, November, December, January, February, March, they have 4 months, almost 5 month head start on us. Nobody has told us to prepare for anything yet. And so if you wait on them to tell you to prepare, you're going to fail. You're not going to be ready. So get your stuff together in your house. Get whatever you can get. Get dried food. Get non-perishables. Because if you don't have power, it don't make no difference if your freezer is full of stuff. It's going to go bad. And so you need to have as many non-perishable items in your house as you can. You need to have a way to prepare food without power. And I've been talking about this over and over and over again, but I just, I can't stop talking about it until it's too late. So as long as I have power and internet, I'm going to keep preaching the same message to you. But make sure you go and you start getting your non-perishables when you have extra money. Get extra beans and rice and bags of things. Store them properly so they will last long. But you cannot afford to not do anything because the government is not going to save you. There's not going to be no bread for a bread line. Some people got to go. Just the other message here is that the population is real. The powers that be say there are too many people on this earth. They don't want to feed all of y'all. So if you're going to be stupid enough to not protect yourself and get food to feed yourself, you are going to die. And your family is going to die. Or you'll be killed because you're going to be out trying to buy stuff and somebody's going to take your money or somebody's going to take something that they feel is valuable and you're going to lose your life. So prepare, get seeds, buy food, get non-perishables, get your home protection. Do what you need to do so that you can survive and take care of your neighbors because maybe you have to share with your neighbors. Maybe your neighbors have something valuable that your family may need that you don't have. We don't know who we're going to need. We don't know what's going to happen, but you need to prepare. And that is my message. I'm going to end this video here. Thank you for watching. Please like and share the video. Again, stay abreast to what's happening. Follow me on my social media. Don't forget to register for 60rows.net and Rumble because I'm going to be leaving there. Also, my website, marleyisms.com. I'll put the link in the description for all of those different things because I'm going to be transitioning so that I can do Black empowerment and speak freely without being suppressed by the powers that be. So be safe, people. Don't forget to prep, 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 prep. It's going to always be my message. Don't be distracted about the trash that's happening. Will Smith ain't going to come to your house and bring you beans. He's not going to buy you rice. He's going to take care of his family because that's what he's doing. That's what he's supposed to do. You are supposed to take care of your family. You're supposed to take care of your loved ones, and you are supposed to fend for yourself. I mean, that's what it is. That's what self-determination is. You take care of yourself. So let's engage in self-determination. Let's engage in empowerment. Empower yourselves to prepare for what's coming because the bad is coming. So thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and take care, be safe, and I will have another video for you on Monday or Tuesday. Have a good weekend.